shades, letting her go, letting her rip, letting her fly, tossing her in sideways, living the life, letting her ride, outside, winning to die, cross her up on the cushion, crossing the line, cause some drama and some bullshit they didn't like, and if they don't like the mood, then we're ready to fly. But this is how we ride, this is how we do, riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove, don't give a damn about the cash we're spending, with the time we got we choose, to play it on the go, to stay out on the run, we all high, wild and handsome, ain't telling you what's right or wrong, or what to choose, hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do, This is how we roll, this is how we do. It's not for everybody but the chosen few. And we pray, cause we know that they might not ever come back. But this is how we ride.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are here today. Oh my God, look at us. We are here. We are in the same location, still here in Indianapolis, getting ready for the race weekend. I'm sure that a bunch of people are. We're steady, just pumping out content. Pretty much a 24-hour job here, as usual. About to go out and start slinging around the Indy area. Of course, there is racing action in the Indy area, but with how things are going, got to make sure we're properly funded for the weekend. Want to thank everybody who has contributed to the channel thus far. We got some new names on the top right of the board who have either rejoined the channel or recently joined the channel here on the Chaz on the membership tab down there. I want to thank everybody who has done that. Or for the ones that just popped up, actually, those people have sent direct support on either the PayPal, Venmo links that are in the description as well, which those affect today and the current situation, which once again, thanks everybody for who has done that, who continuously does that and everything of the sorts. And, we've got some guys who have been up there for a very long time here on the Chaz. In fact, Ekman Dental Arts, I believe, has been a associate friend. I think a lot of people who are sponsor supporters of people, associate friend. I guess from 2018 when I knew Ekman Dental Arts there, Jeremy Ekman up there in the River City Speedway quarter-mile area, and we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff today. But once again, there is racing. Circle City Raceway is going to be tonight and tomorrow night. It is only about 30 minutes from where I'm located, but it is going to be on Flow. I might go tomorrow night. We'll see how everything works out as far as funding and making things happen here in the whole Indy 500 week that I got going on for myself. I do plan on tomorrow, though, during the afternoon. This is why this works out for me, because tonight I could either go make some money or I could go to a race and spend money. Kind of got to get the priorities in line. Tomorrow, though, is qualifying for the Little 500 event at Anderson Speedway down the street from me as well, about 30 minutes as well. That's going to be from 1:30 to 3:30. I do plan on attending that event for qualifying, and that's going to be my Thursday event, work all night, then head on down to Bloomington on Friday, the 10,000 to win Josh Burton event at Bloomington Speedway. Haven't been there, always wanted to go. And then, of course, Saturday and Sunday, we will be Saturday night at the Little 500, Saturday at Indianapolis, possibly going to the museum and checking out the scenery there. Sunday, the Indy 500. That is our temporary schedule for the weekend. There's a bunch of things happening, though, in these schedules for the weekend. Of course, over there in PA, you got the Weikert race with the High Limit Series. But Friday, I want everybody to pay attention to this event that's very big, a very important event, historical event in many aspects. The John Trone Tribute Race. Of course, Callum Williamson in the 39 machine from Australia. They've been trying to work the kinks out over there with the 39 and Callum. Obviously, come to the United States, a big uptick in competition, a big uptick in sizes of track, shapes of tracks, dirt, all things that they're trying to figure out here in Callum's rookie season in the United States. Who would have guessed it? It would have been a little tough. A lot of things would have had to be figured out between both the car owner, crew chief, driver. Everybody's over there trying to make that thing get a little bit quicker week in and week out. And, as much as people just want to, Oh, what we got here? What just happened? Oh, 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 there we go. As much as people want to complain this and that, I still think they're doing a okay job bringing Callum up. And even though, you know, they got everything to figure out and work out, but regardless, it's John Trone race, a tribute race, $10,039 to win. That's going to be Friday night. Expect a lot of the heavy hitters, the high limit guys, to more than likely be at this event. I know there's some festivities happening up at Port Royal on Saturday or Friday night when this is happening. But anybody who is a contender, a winner, somebody who wants to make money, like the high limit mantra is all about, is more than likely going to be at this race. Of course, this will be on Dirt Vision. So if you're in the PA area, obviously go to the event. There's going to be a lot of drivers in-house, on time, and ready to rock. You're also going to have your weekly racers that are there as well. And then those who can't make it, not in the Pennsylvania area, not in a few hours drive, it will be live on Dirt Vision to check out. So that is the interesting event of the weekend that, you know, isn't the Weikert, isn't this big giant event. I actually just got through the conversation. Somebody's mad that the Weikert's paying so much money. They think that it's BS that Port Royal is trying to trump their other crown jewel race, the Tuscarora. I don't get it. I don't know why you would complain about paying more money. I think all the crown jewels need to pay more money to begin with, and then the amount that the Weikert's paying really ain't that much. But regardless, we're going to talk about that a little bit today. I know the title of this video is, it's not deceiving, but it seems like it's going to be contrarian, and it is going to be contrarian to the popular belief. But it's also going to have and this is going to be weird. Maybe this can be full circle here. Everything I'm about to explain here in the next, 20, 30 minutes, I don't know how long this is going to go, is going to talk about how things can work all together, how this whole system of motorsports can operate properly, and why I personally think currently it is not operating properly. And there's a reason for that. There's a lot of reasons for that. We're basically what I would call this would be the harvest effect. You know, a lot of people like to label dirt track racing as grassroots, when really it's the farmer of the situation. And there's this harvesting effect that used to occur that doesn't occur anymore due to this lack of respect for our form of racing, and not just dirt, but short track asphalt racing as well. Another post that kind of caught my mind was this one by Ford Performance. They were just pointing out the victory lane and also supercars and all this, representing all forms of motorsports. They put Donnie Schatz in there, Logano, funny cars, supercars, all kinds of stuff in here. So let's give a big round of applause for Ford Performance, properly representing every form of motorsport. That's the problem, for the record. Luckily, Ford is combating that with proper representation. But representation, respect, recognition, even though this post right here is properly done by Ford Performance, man, I honestly might want to be a fan of the Donnie Schatz paint scheme after this, because merit matters more than bullshit. But anyways, we're getting pissed. We might get a little heated in this. Because we're going to be responding to somebody in particular today. Anyways, so we're all talking about racers' respect, or at least that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm responding to. And why it is I guess big words that I've used from time to time, quintessential to the success of NASCAR, IndyCar, all the big forms of motorsports, your NFL majors that you love to ego stroke all the time, which is such a falsity. And we're going to get into that falsity today. But we're going to teach you some things, I guess, since you ain't done your own research. Got caught up doing the NFL for too many years. But anyway. Oh, well, look at that. Look who liked this post. Ricky Thornton Jr. Interesting. Another person who is unknown to society. Pushed below the, 10th place finisher, 20th place finisher at a NASCAR Cup race. Anyways, so we all talked about this post where there's this guy who got onto a Kyle Larson Indy 500 post and put the comment down here. I feel like most IndyCar drivers can win in NASCAR, and especially in sprint cars where the talent is not as high as upper levels of racing. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, instead of me, for instance, in this post just going at NASCAR, I decided to take a different angle. And this goes back to what we were talking about the other day, is the importance of this television screen, okay? You got to understand, this television screen that tells you what is and what isn't has only been around for in everyone's household. Let's think about it. Everyone could afford a TV, maybe 1985, 80, 78, 75. So we're talking about something that's 50 years in the history of the world. Something that's the first thing that's come along and gave you a visual representation with the story and everything that can actually build memories, visualizations, ideologies, thoughts, beliefs, influences. The first thing to replace memory. You could hear radios in the past, or storytellers in the past, or live theater in the past of the whole human existence. But this TV came along and was the first thing that on a mass scale could give you technically memories of something visually, verbally, like as if you were there. It's a very interesting technology that has been used in various ways. We went to the moon, correct? But anyway, I tried to take a different angle on this approach because, once again, this TV deal can convince you of things. But prior to this, if you didn't see it, if you didn't visually experience it, it didn't exist. This thing actually started doing, once again, memory replacements, influences, makes you want to do certain things. So regardless, I said here, in response to this post by this guy, I said, dirt racing must combat the general public who thinks this way. By the way, the general public is 350 million people. There's only about 400,000-ish people who like dirt racing on Facebook. So when we talk about general public, we're talking about 345.5 million people. And then if you want to consider NASCAR fans, they got about 5 million likes. Last time I checked, I don't know if it's moved a little bit. And the majority of NASCAR fans, obviously, I guess there's, what would 400, let's say 500,000 be? What is that, 10% of that 5 million or something like that? 10% of NASCAR fans watch dirt racing. So the other, 90% have no clue of what you're talking about. So the other 90% live in this general public perspective, 49.5 million people. And this is what moves the world. And this television has been moving them. Now it's in the social medias, and we can digress into how that's being utilized as well to replace memories and all this stuff, and how it's actually influencing people. That's why they call it social influence. Regardless, dirt racing must combat the general public who thinks this way. Thanks, ESPN. I blamed ESPN here for this situation. Just such a trash perspective that is solely believed because of your inability to properly present motorsports to America. Period. Absolutely fucking period. Okay, because these people, and this is why I'm going to say dirt racers are the best, respected, or better than NASCAR drivers, is going to help NASCAR in the long run. Because I think they got a little genetically modified in the 90s, and we're going to talk about that as well, just a little bit. We're not going to hinder on that. We're going to keep with the reality of the situation, which, once again, back to the TV screen. The reality, what is it? But they used to properly represent motorsports in this situation. I talked about it yesterday on the show. Local racing, when you go up and you go do the research and you pull up, people bring you an old newspaper. Here, look at this newspaper from back in the day, or this old ad of a race. flyer or something from the 70s, 90s. It says professional auto racing. Newspapers wrote like it was professional. The respect level for what a local racer was doing when this television screen properly represented all forms of motorsports and didn't influence a leveling system, it was a completely different aspect. What people looked out onto the dirt track on your weekly Friday or Saturday night event back in those days, they didn't look at it as like, well, who's the next kid to go and move up? No, they looked at it with a certain level of respect. You know, they were looking at a Dell Sr. racing on a local level that could be racing NASCAR next weekend. Now, obviously, there's a lot of reasons as to why that occurred, but we're going to digress. Once again, because of your inability to properly present motorsports to America, this think machine that tells everyone what to think. So, we had an issue here. Obviously, Jeremy Elliott, we're talking about respect and all this stuff. Jeremy Elliott's over here on his Sprint Car Unlimited YouTube page. Go check it out, ladies and gentlemen. It's a good little talk, and he's talking about dirt or asphalt, respect the disciplines. He's talking about, I guess, somewhat commenters who say dirt racers are just so much better. And he goes into say, you know, this guy can't do what this guy does in a cup car, and this guy can't do what this guy does in a sprint car and Indy car and all this other stuff. Good point. But my point I'm making down here is, actually, there was another commenter in here. Let's get this up. There's another commenter in this comment. I said, and this is a quote from the video. It says, "It's easy to peddle nonsense when it can't be proven." I'm taking this one. Thank you. I replied to this actually because we have had some examples recently of how, you know, dirt racers might be a little bit better. Funny, we just talked about Ricky Thornton Jr. I responded to this guy where it can't be proven. I put Brandon Sheppard in a sprint car, first time out-qualified Chase Briscoe. There's plenty of evidence. People choose to ignore it. Of course, Jeremy Elliott comes down here defending his statements, which is fine. That's not evidence. It's cherry picking one night in which a guy moonlighted. I'm quite sure Chase Briscoe would out-qualify Brandon Sheppard in a cup car. And this is what they always reference, but it's also very funny. Kyle Olson comes in here and says he was just a few thousandths off of out-qualifying shots as well. And that was with an IRA-level team. I come back and say, yeah, all these guys continue to reference Larson's success as to what cup-level drivers do in dirt. But when a dirt late model guy comes into a sprint car and bests another career-long sprint car driver, Chase Briscoe, who is now a cup racer, Chase Briscoe, it is one ear and out the other. So we get evidence of a cherry-picking night since we have no other examples because they're afraid. And more fantasy examples of in a cup car. Like Sheppard or any dirt racer can afford a legitimate shot in a cup car. Dirt is the only playing field where everyone can afford to come run. The asphalt boys simply run from the competition because they can't afford the embarrassment that our lower level, as people continue to say, guys would do to them. Their entire reputation of best of the best would be exposed. And who put this best of the best kind of style mantra? NFL of racing. Blaming ESPN. My general response to the video, my comment, was lack of respect for dirt racers is the issue. Seems plenty of IndyCar racers, IMSA, which is road course, and NASCAR drivers, asphalt racers in general, get respect. Dirt racing is the only one being downplayed in a general public sense of recognition and respect departments. It's a big deal. And this is my bigger point here. This is what I am about. Jeremy Elliott responds, "No, I would say you and others have little respect for those other guys. From a general public standpoint, I don't care which side you are on. It's a nonsensical argument. They are different. As I said in the video, both sides are wrong to compare, respect both." I responded and said, One side only receives respect. And is this not true? Isn't it funny? The IndyCar guy gets the respect. The NASCAR guy gets the respect. There's only one form that's called this lower level kiddie car situation, and that seems to be dirt racing every time. That's the rednecks driving in circles. And I still would not blame this on Jeremy Elliott, this respect factor. I would blame this on the TV screen. Let me show you some historical documentation when I believe that racing operated properly. So this is a commercial. Or well, hold on. Let me see where it go. Got it somewhere around here. Oh no, this is right. This is 1987, ladies and gentlemen. And like I said, I'm blaming ESPN. Whoever controls this television, which this is Disney. So this is the intro. This is so this television thing that we all know influences the masses, especially in this 80s, 90s era, even in today's society. If the TV comes out and all the news corporations say, hey, today this is going to happen, you might believe it. Like, we think that the weather is going to rain out we're potentially going to rain out the Indy 500. Do we know this, or are we listening to sources that are telling us that rain is coming? So this thing is very intricate on what information is and what information isn't. But I just want to show you what the general public was displayed in the 80s of what racing was. This is how racing was intro to the public on TV. You see the road racing, the drag racing, you see the IndyCar racing, you see NASCAR, all forms being represented properly here. Stadium truck racing. You pretty much got it all. There's dirt racing that gets flashed in here. I think the commercial's a little late. Obviously, Rex was a thing, obviously. But this is interesting. This is a very interesting lead-up intro for ESPN Speed World. And this is what people were shown. This was on television. This is what it was. This is what everyone saw. And this is actually USAC late models, ladies and gentlemen. USAC late models at Santa Fe Speedway. Oh my God, look at this. This is insane. USAC late models at Santa Fe Raceway. Look at them. Look at these things. Doing a little behind the scenes content. Man, I swear, sometimes today's world could learn from this. So, television was displaying multiple forms of motorsports in this day. You see sprint cars at the Syracuse Mile back there. I got plenty of references here. Big blocks at the Syracuse Mile, more big blocks, and even, short track asphalt racing. Look at this, short track asphalt racing was displayed. These are the old super modifieds, this is, and obviously this is on Syracuse, but there was multiple forms of motorsports actually represented to the public, and it sold. This is like, and let me just show you how healthy the sport was back then when all forms, like, for instance, picture racing as like a menu of food, and in this day and age, you walked into like the racing restaurant and they had all these different forms. So if you didn't like, road course racing, you could eat the dirt racing or this racing or that racing. And there was a multitude of options. So people liked racing due to those options, and they respected each form. It was properly represented on the menu of what racing was. And look at this. This is a 1990 NASCAR Southwest Tour Series event. This is the one where Ron Hornaday, I believe, breaks his arm or whatever. Look at the grandstands back there, guys. This is 1990 NASCAR Southwest Tour. Has anybody checked the grandstands at these ARCA events? It's disgusting. So, look at that. Absolutely slam-packed at Phoenix, mind you. At Phoenix. This thing was really, really jumping back in the day. Now, obviously, I'm going to show you the next commercial, or the next opening intro, we'll call it. So from 1990... all of a sudden, to 1999, ESPN Speed World, the representative of this motorsports to the world, switched up. So 1990, think about it. 1987. Now 1990, what is the population being presented by the think leaders? this is what it became. This is what happened. Okay? So now all the options on the menu for people to eat went away. All the options we saw in the intro from the 1997 situation vanished. For the new crops of fans and people, this now is what starts to not only be the only menu on or item on the menu, and this is after the fall of IndyCar split with CART. They are discombobulated. This is after the Jeff Gordon surge. This is right in the heat of the battle. 1999, NASCAR is possibly on their biggest surge in racing history. And it inflated, or some people, or I would say, oversaturated the market. That works great for NASCAR. Okay? Great for NASCAR. But at the end of the day, you lost the recognition for other forms of motorsports, their drivers, and what they can do in the societal perspective. And then I would also say one of the worst things that happened, because this ESPN exposure-based situation was very important. Of course, Jeff Gordon, Cole sitting there. Kind of very intricate in doing this. But not only did ESPN kind of segment to NASCAR, possibly because it sold, because a movie came to life and everything else that happened in the racing world, but it was an exposed-based situation. So what I mean by that is, like, guy could be watching basketball or whatever, and then, ESPN Speed World pops on. And now basketball guy or soccer or tennis guy, now all of a sudden, well, what the hell is this? We'll just keep on watching. And he gets to see all these different forms of representation. He sees everybody that is involved. He is exposed to different forms of motorsports and professional levels. It wasn't just one. Now, what happened in this era in 99 that is more detrimental is that through this NASCAR thing selling so well, oversaturating the racing market, it worked for them, obviously, once again. Other forms of motorsports became segmented on this thing called the Speed Channel. Now, some people look at the Speed Channel that happened, and some people who know what I'm talking about, it doesn't exist anymore. Some people think of the Speed Channel as this great thing. And for a fan of motorsports and your selfishness, it was a great thing because you could see all these different talk shows. You had Dave Despain, you had World of Outlaws on there. You had all of this racing thing happening on the Speed Channel. But the problem with that is that it segmented racing from society. Like I said, tennis fan, basketball fan, football fan could potentially see racing because he would be on that ESPN channel and potentially view it. Whereas when you took all of motorsports and put it on Speed Channel, the only people going to Speed Channel are racing fans. So you segmented yourself from society. And then you also allowed whoever these people are, once again, blaming ESPN, to control the narrative. And now the other thing that occurred in this era, in my opinion, is you lost what I would call the breeding process to creating fans. There was multiple things that happened when local and regional forms of motorsport were important. First of all, races were just always more exciting on a local, regional level, asphalt and dirt. And the big tours, the NASCAR Cup Series and the IndyCar Series, they're only coming to town once or twice. And even the World of Outlaw Sprint Car, they're only coming to town once or twice a year. And who is breeding the race fans? Well, who's making a town a race town? It's that local, regional racing action. And if you lose the respect of those people being viewed as professional or top fighters that you must see, you lose that transition phase. This is back to grassroots versus the farmer. The local racetrack scene is what's creating race fans so that when you come in once or twice a year, you are harvesting the crops that have been grown by the local farmer. So in this transition, everybody's like, oh, well, how does that even happen? So this NASCAR surge is all fine and dandy in the racing world. We still respect and understand, but these people living behind this TV screen, they don't know what you're talking about. If they're old enough to remember the 80s and the early 90s, like most of our fan base in dirt racing is, and we're still living on the names that was created there, like Hodenshaw, Kinzer, Swindell, what happened to making all the rest that have raced since then household names? You know, even NASCAR's got Logano, Busch, and Hamlin. Where's our last marquee star that's really big? Oh, wait, they're Cole Trickles, they're Stewart, they're Kane, they're Larson, whoever's a Cole Trickle. Back to segmenting the sports, because I do believe NASCAR took over the IndyCar scene by utilizing the dirt fan through the Cole Trickle, Jeff Gordon syndrome. And Tony Stewart. We all started watching NASCAR for the dirt guy to watch Cole. Back to the TV screen. But regardless, when one form starts taking over television, the societal perspective twists it into the normal ladder system. It turns it into the NFL. Why? And people may be like, well, why is that? Well, these sports like NFL, tennis, golf, maybe a little bit. Actually, racing's similar to golf. NFL, basketball, or let's say football, basketball, soccer. You know, these sports are in high schools, okay? Everybody sees these things in person, back to telling you what is versus you see it as truth. Like if somebody tried to come onto the TV tomorrow and say, all the people in the NFL are just bought and paid for to be there. What? I went to high school. That guy's there because he kicked everyone's ass. Because you have actual visual understanding of it. And unfortunately for the motorsports world, all of these other sports I just named off have a actual merit-based ladder system. They have their peewee level we all see in society. They have their high school level we all see. They have their college and their pro. Even the baseball, they got the little league and they got the little high school and the college and the minor and the major. We all see it. This ladder system exists in every other sport out there, and it's usually based on merit, how good you are. So when society sees something being pushed above everything else visually, society relates it to the ladder system of all these other sports. And the potential 5 million out of 350 million that populate America know that doesn't work that way, even though we're seeing, probably 4.5 million of those people thinking IndyCar. I'm just saying the majority of society implements this ladder system. And since the television stopped properly representing everyone and pushed the NASCAR mantra, NASCAR, in the societal perspective, replaces the NFL. And now society's trying to figure out what's college, what's high school, what is this other stuff? Welcome to possibly one of the biggest destructors of racing at this time when NASCAR was on their surge. A little prior to this, I would say the Truck Series came along and destroyed a lot of things. Obviously it destroyed the stadium truck racing. It replaced everything that fed the Grand National Series, whatever you want to call that. ASA, ARCA, Hooters, Outlaws, USAC. These guys used to go from these forms of motorsport, modifieds, wheeling modifieds, name that, super modifieds on asphalt. They used to go from that straight to Grand National, which was one step to Cup. Okay? So when the trucks came out, it kind of eliminated that right there with Cup level. And then, of course, the stadium trucks, according to Jimmy Johnson, was shut down. This whole stadium, Evan Evans stadium truck racing deal that we used to like watching back in the day, that was very prevalent in the arcades and all that. It went away in stadiums because Toyota pulled their funding from it and went to NASCAR with the Truck Series. So there was a lot of things that happened here in this ladder system that they started to figure out that they built it. It's smart business for them. It makes sense, right? If you're going to be the NFL, be it. But what happens there is when society takes what you have given them and you start trying, or they naturally, you don't even do it on purpose. Society naturally starts to try and level the surrounding world around them. That's when you start losing respect for the other disciplines of racing that are out there. And now the local racer that was a professional auto racer back in 70s, 80s, 90s era is now a grassroots local player. Okay, so in a ladder system of NFL or NBA, what is a local player? Oh, like YMCA basketball, arena football, flag football, maybe? These are the people who, I guess, like in all other sports, must have failed in high school or college or something like that and just wasn't good enough to make it to this level of motorsports. Nick Hoffman, that's why you suck. We're not mad in dirt racing trying to fight for your respect because of all these other things. We're just mad at NASCAR. You know, we're not mad that you whooped everyone's ass and didn't go to NASCAR, but you're not as good. I'm just saying, I'm standing up for those guys. But regardless, this ladder system starts being implemented into society, and this is how you get those guys like they're saying IndyCar, NASCAR, and the lower level. This is the tier system that was implemented through a psyop, technically. Now, what happens in this whole transitional period? Well, I'll tell you what the fuck happened. You had local, I'm looking at this son of a bitch right now. You had local tracks, other forms, series, ASA, Hooters, Southwest, starts. Everybody back then, once the surge happened, started to see fan attendance fall. That's exactly the same area. I was in Texas when this happened, and I know it happened to other areas where IMCA and other lower divisions started to transport nationwide. I remember being in Texas, they had the big block modifieds, and when fan attendance fell, they was like, oh, here's this IMCA modified, only cost about $10,000, and you can race for national points. It's also when the payouts become stationary, ain't it? We always hear this thing where people say, man, it's been paying the same ever since the 90s. Man, what happened? I'm trying to tell you. Of course, the payouts become stationary, costs to race increase, and opportunity to rise through the ranks do as well. More affordable, I do have a little written. I have some bullet points here. Of course, we're going to try to stay on topic, but I can't sell my soul like the other ones do. Of course, in the same era, that's when more affordable classes are added to the lineups to make up for the loss in income from the fan attendance. This is when the back gate started going up. This is when you start seeing increased car counts so that money can be made. Of course, we talked about all these different things about the stadium trucks. I had these. See, I start going off on a tangent. We start getting and going. So now you have this situation where the local racing scene respect attendance goes away. They're not increasing payouts. Therefore, the big badass race cars on a weekly basis can't race for enough money to sustain. This is when the lower divisions of cheaper, more affordable classes come in, and they make so many classes so that they can afford, so that tracks can even afford to race. This is why I was saying, Lanny Edwards said, we built stands because we needed them, not because we wanted them, because he was filling them on a weekly basis. The fans went away for what reason? I did my research. This is why I believe why. So the back gate was supplementing the situation. But NASCAR was still so big, and our big events and this and that, and we had some events and stuff like this. But this is where NASCAR took a turn, because in this day and age, I think you could still kind of race your way from that local area. Maybe that ladder system had a little validity to it because NASCAR did become the NFL. Okay, so how are you getting there to perform? Jeff Gordon and other drivers obviously helped a lot of people start searching on regional, local levels. That's where you got your Matt Kenseths and your Kevin Harvicks and some of the Ron Hornadays. We just talked. That's where you got all these badasses that now became superstars on the NASCAR level. But unfortunately, people just, in my opinion, got tired of eating the same old shit. You know, it don't matter if you got the best meal on the menu. I don't want to eat it all the time. And I think racing was sustainable because it offered variety back in the day. If you got bored watching NASCAR, you could just flip over and watch something else. It was exposed to the general public. But I think NASCAR became the only thing to eat. And also NASCAR started to represent what motorsports was to society. So if a new person tuned into a NASCAR race and didn't like NASCAR, similar to if I tune into an NFL football game and I don't like the NFL, I don't just not like the NFL. I don't like football. I think football is boring. Same thing with NASCAR. If I tune into a NASCAR race, I think NASCAR is boring. I don't like racing. It represents the sport at that point because of this ladder tier system that everyone so much believes in. So let's just say there was some validity to this ladder system and NASCAR was actually doing things correctly and we were siphoning up people to come on up. Once again, the Truck Series destroyed your ASA, ARCA. Well, ARCA was able to survive, but you had K&N come along and all this stuff. But the attendance that we showed you for the Southwest race was huge. All these other things, they started losing attendance, losing things. The Truck Series kind of killed that ladder step, that USAC and Outlaws, and everyone kind of had somewhat of a little bit of validity too. And then, because of Jeff Gordon, the person you see on your screen, NASCAR started bringing in the young guns. Due to the popularity boost they believe they got from Jeff Gordon, at least publicly, that's what they say. And bringing in younger drivers, obviously. Which, in that case, if they just did it on accident, reinstates the ladder system. Because who goes to the NFL? Who goes to the NBA? Who comes in and makes a splash? It's not 30-year-olds. It's young people. It's 20s. It's 22, 23s. Now, where are they coming from? This is where you start seeing everybody wanting to be a go-kart racer at 5 and a sprint car racer at 14 and having to make it into NASCAR at a young age. Reinstating to the societal perspective, even though we know it's all diverse, everybody deserves respect. But in this perspective, this is how it works now. Society is manipulated to view it as everything else. Now, the problem with this, okay, let's just say everybody came up young with validity and all these things. NASCAR, unfortunately, sustained a slow decline after their boom. What happens then? Everybody's used to making money. Teams are made and created to make money. They stop hiring talent. And then they start looking to funded drivers to carry teams, to keep them in survival. Talented drivers are passed up, remaining on your local racing scene and dirt. But dirt is low on the ladder system, lower on the ladder system. That's down there in the reinstated level. So the only problem with that is that your highly talented drivers are not viewed as top level. They're not advancing because they don't have the funds, Nick Hoffman. That's why they're not moving up or gaining traction or becoming household. You know, so they're not going to NASCAR Cup racing because the business model started, the oversaturation and people getting tired of eating the same old shit, everybody had started to leave. So you're remaining with nothing. And you're having to go to funded drivers who may not be the best, but they're bringing a bunch of money. So you got all this talent remaining in the dirt world because of the lack of funds and income, but they're still top tier ladder system drivers. And this has happened back in the day as well. People didn't advance. It didn't happen as much, obviously, but local racing back then was viewed on an even respectful level. But still, the problem here is on this tier system, America likes Batman, guys. America likes Batman. We like the best of the best. You know, that's the bigger issue here. America's very arrogant. We don't like Robin. There hasn't been a successful movie named Robin. There hasn't been a minor league baseball team have more attendance than a major one. We don't care about the NBA G League. We want to see the best of the best go at it and battle for championship titles. So regardless, in my opinion, that's what happened. Obviously, we fast forward a little bit more, the slow decline in NASCAR. And this is probably in 2010, 2012, they slowly started getting away from, talented drivers, going towards the money. It probably happened earlier than that. I just didn't recognize it as well. Even, what was it, Smokey Unick said there was 1,000 Tony Stewarts back when he came up. So maybe it was happening there as well. He was just lucky and selected. But regardless, you have a lot of these, due to these situations, you have a lot of high-level racing talents on these lower tier levels because NASCAR sold out for the money, and this tier system that society is viewing this sport as is a falsity. It is not real. You know, let's just say that they were going after young up-and-coming drivers. What 17-year-old can afford a 410 sprint car, guys? This is why I say even Kyle's lucky and opportunistic, because there's no way he mowed enough yards to be put in those race cars. It can take guys till 30 years old to learn how to develop. That's why back in the day, guys didn't get to Cup until they proven themselves to race and afforded to be able to race on these local regional scenes. So at the end of the day, it's almost important for these local racers to be viewed just as good as a Kyle Larson, for instance. You know, I made this TikTok video. I want to show y'all this. I made this TikTok video. It was Kyle Larson versus Dallin Murdy, and people are going insane. Kyle Larson versus Dallin Murdy in an IMCA stock car. They're going nuts on TikTok right now. They have no idea who Dallin Murdy is. Well, Dallin Murdy is a number 99X IMCA stock car driver who's probably one of the best in the damn country. Obviously, when you tell people who know about Dallin Murdy, him versus Kyle Larson in an IMCA stock car, who would win that race, they're picking Dallin Murdy, and there's probably about 15 to 25 other guys. Of course, this Clay County race that's coming up this week, 25,000 to win, IMCA stock cars. There's probably going to be 10 or 15, 20 guys that are on his same level that would put probably Kyle Larson in the B or C main, guys. Because this talent hasn't had the money. This talent is in this level that is outpriced, not outclassed. And it's back to the original comment with Jeremy Elliott. This is the only form of motorsports that is getting under... What was the damn word I put on his ass? What was it? What was that? It was a perfect word here. Downplayed. This is the only form. You know, the guy in there, he said IndyCar might be better than NASCAR. NASCAR might be better. They talk about Formula One and Max Verstappen and Larson on the same level. This is the only form being downplayed right now. And this is the most important form of motorsports for NASCAR, for IndyCar. You know, we need these guys to get that societal respect so that people understand, hey, there is actually a Tom Brady down the street that can throw the football better than the guy on the television. They'll come out to watch him. And they are putting on better races than y'all. I know you don't want to admit it. IMCA stock cars, 410 sprint cars, PA, super late models, regional action. The regional racing action, even that World of Outlaws, whatever you want to call it, all this dirt track stuff's more exciting. It just is. It's short. It's short races. And obviously they may race late into the night, but the racing action is just damn good. So it's more likely if you produce it to society, a badass sprint car or late model or IMCA stock car race is going to sell to the new person. It's going to breed you race fans in these regional areas that NASCAR you only come to once or twice a year, more than likely once now. So traditionally, when these local guys like Dallin Murdy were in newspapers, represented fairly in regional areas of the country, produced as a professional race car driver, respected like somebody who's touted as one of the best in America, not as a quotational joke, but as an actual statement. This America that we live in that wants to see the best comes out and watches them. And dirt racing puts on a pretty good visual racing product. And then all of a sudden they respect these guys. And then all of a sudden they like racing now because they get another taste of what racing is. I still think one of the biggest issues is NASCAR's representing racing. So people taste it. It sucks. That's the only thing on the menu. All right, we're out of the restaurant. We don't want it. But the facts of the matter is, when I say Dallin Murdy is one of the best race car drivers in the country and a potential Tom Brady, bro, Kyle, you can't get in this car and beat Dallin Murdy. You know that, right? Max Verstappen can't get in this car and beat this guy, right? There's about 15 or 20 or hell, probably 30 other guys that could do the damn same thing. Because of how the structure of racing is being misrepresented and, in my opinion, fabricated to society, this is the only form being downplayed. Everybody says you got to respect the other forms of motorsports. There's zero respect for dirt racing right now, societally wise. And society, I'm sorry, some people, oh, who cares what society says? Sorry, I care about 300 plus million fucking people and what they think. Because society's where the sponsors are. It's where the new people of the sport are. It's where everything economically is located. I'm sorry that you want to depend on welfare of everyone else. But the societal perspective, this television screen telling people what is and what isn't, is why we're all worried that the Indy 500 is going to rain out, correct? We ain't seen it. It's not like we're future tellers in a damn ball. I mean, yeah, we got technology to predict it. But we also got technology and actual, like, you know, evidence that these guys are really that damn good, right? Anybody who knows this, this Dallin Murdy guy, that David Gravel guy, Ricky Thornton Jr., all of these guys deserve more respect than they are getting. Okay? Now, I know that could affect the other people's business to downplay them and talk these guys up, but they're the ones walking around the damn world projecting themselves as this top-tier bullshit. Now, I do think a little fight would be nice if you could do Dallin Murdy versus Kyle in a stock car and just wax his ass, or hell, put him in a stock car and have him finish 10th in the CMA and we could get some respect. But the only problem with that is that when Kyle goes out there and doesn't run well, we don't hear about it nationally. We only hear about it when he's whooping the dirt racer's ass. We don't hear a headline that says, unless he flips, we don't hear Kyle Larson finishes 15th in the World 100 or finishes here or there, because they know that reputation I'm talking about. They're making money on this emulated reality. But if they would just get off their high horse at the end of the day, if NASCAR would come on out and say, yeah, man, some of these dirt racers are some of the best in the country, you know, and maybe admit, like, everyone can see, yeah, a lot of our guys did get a lot of opportunities and we're privileged in many positions, and some of these guys are just as good as our top tier drivers. They just didn't get opportunities, and they're racing 900 horsepower sprint cars, late models, or 600 horsepower IMCA stock cars. Then you could have a weekly influx of fans that come to watch these guys because now they respect them. Wow, they actually matter. They're not flag football players. And then you could start breeding or growing race fans in regional areas. And when you come to town once or twice a year, you can harvest the crops that have been grown by the farmer. So it's very important that these guys start getting the respect that they have lacked for 30 plus fucking years, it feels like. Probably more so 25, because the older people that kept this sport going are finally dying off from the respectful era that existed. That's why our sport is so up in age. Regardless, that's what, once again, F1's bigger than NASCAR in the 18 to 25 age range. Why? Because of Netflix. Just saying, guys, the societal perspective can make or break whatever you have going. And I think that all forms of motorsport can work together as long as they are equally represented and respected. Now, I personally think that respect equals representation. And if nobody's going to speak up for these guys lacking that respect to get that recognition, then I'm going to be on here saying differently. And I don't give a fuck. I'm tired of watching these guys go out here, do things that are so amazing, and watching people prance up and down on their Facebooks talking shit about them like they're lower level. Maybe lower level in income. There ain't no lower level in talent in any of these dirt fucking race car divisions. And this IMCA stock car division is possibly the toughest racing division in the fucking world. Sorry, late model guys. It's just true. There are so many cars that are equal, so many competitors. It's probably the top of the heap. It probably is. Now, of course, I love seeing a 900 horsepower sprint car late model flip it off in there. But hey, as much as I can get mad at NASCAR having all the money and nobody can afford to go race up there, I'm sure if I went into this Clay County race this week and asked all these damn stock car drivers, so why don't you run the Lucas Oil or World of Outlaw late model series? They're going to sit there and say, because I don't have the money to. That's why I respect Ricky Thornton Jr. so much, because he worked his way up from these divisions. He put a damn modifier on a flatbed, drove to Iowa from Arizona, has made his career from where he's at today. That's why I put him above Kyle. He didn't just impress a few rich people and get some loans. Anyway, I still think Kyle's a great driver. I'm not trying to say that. But these other guys who are left behind because they lack that funding need to start getting respect for the talent that they have and stop being disrespected for the money that they didn't. Anyway, I could get really pissed off about this. I could get really pissed off about this. Do I even look at the chat? It's already been 55 minutes. I went down the street there. I think you halfway understand what I'm trying to say. The lack of respect for regional race car drivers is why we lack fans. NASCAR, you lack fans, you're trying to go and get new ones because we're not representing motorsports properly anymore. Your product is okay from time to time. You've had some good finishes this year, but visually, most people are bored for 2 hours. At least in dirt racing, you got little short events, 8 laps, check the phone, the new society, short attention spans. Then the A-main, 30 laps, happy, go home. It's a little more exciting. I think that if we utilized NASCAR or utilize sprint cars and late models and even IMCA stock cars to create race fans, you could harvest from that creation. I think it worked back there in the 80s and 90s. Look at your Southwest attendance there when people respected even your regional series. Have y'all seen the attendance for ARCA lately? Have you seen the attendance for short track asphalt racing? Have you looked into the grandstands at some of these flow broadcasts? They ain't even close to dirt. At least we got some people who know the damn truth, or at least another form of motorsports. I would hate to live under that umbrella over there on the short track asphalt scene. Oh my God. And imagine how many short track asphalt drivers are better than cup drivers. They're just lacking the same funding that I'm talking about. It's insane. It's insane. But once again, I do believe that pushing the notion that dirt racers are better than NASCAR drivers is enough of a shock factor to the average person to think about it. Why would you say that? Provide the details. Provide the scenario. Let them know that you have a bunch of rich paper champions up there so that they start respecting these guys down here that can knock every single one of you out. Of course, that's with a little attitude and flair. But regardless, you can't say they may not. Once again, Brandon Shepard he jumped in a sprint car first time and qualify better than a lifetime sprint car racer in Chase Briscoe. First try. Briscoe's been running him his whole life, and that's a cup driver. Average cup driver. Kyle Larson, they try to use him to slap the dirt world around. It doesn't work. They try to make it work, but it don't. Regardless, oh man, let's see here. What we got? We'll see what you say. If it's a bunch of BS, I'm just going to turn the chat off. We have been on here an hour. Chase Briscoe is in NASCAR. He's so good. Right, exactly. Oh, no, somebody named Cuddle. Chaz, a new show needed. Headline, race car driver consists of (1) a man and machine, 2 a man and machine, and a computer to control it soon. NASCAR and Indy and F1 won't need drivers. We need a vote. I don't think so. I'm a new fan, and I love dirt racing. I tell all my guys about it. Thank you. Ricky Thornton is a South Park character, I think. That is very funny. Let's see here. Honda won't build you a V8, but don't build. Oh God, I just don't understand it. Somebody said, what? Kenny Wallace fighting with the dirt fans again? No, I don't. Jennifer Marshall versus Kenny Wallace on social media. Is that a real thing? Mickey Thompson stadium trucks. Yes. Derek Losh would destroy Kyle Larson in a modified. I hate that people keep referencing Larson first time in a modified winning. He raced UMP, not USMTS or IMCA. I would say IMCA is stronger than UMP, personally. You hate money, they say, laugh out loud. I agree with you. I don't hate money. I hate disrespect. And this dirt world's being disrespect left and fucking right, guys. And I'm tired of seeing it just happen. I'm tired of seeing it just happen. These people want you to not speak up. Fuck y'all. I'm not going to sit back and watch, this sport get disrespected in the way it is. It's called capitalism, bro. Do you want enforced equality? Do you want everyone to kiss the ground in someone who wins a World Outlaw feature? Right. I just hope people understand that it is capitalism. There is corporatism, corporate-based capitalism, which I would call what we have here a corporate communism because it's based in monarchy, families, oligarchies who have all this money and power and control and dictate the entire scene. That's how I see it in my conspiracies of the racing world. But yeah, it is capitalism. I guess it's the beginning stages of it. We are at the ending stages of capitalism. That's why everybody's trying to switch it, because it's self-destructing due to the destruction of the free market, which is what I'm talking about, the free market. But since these industries control what people see, think, and do, they're able to basically dictate the free market of what people think. Corporate-based communism is what it is. Larson X10 the exposure, and he said the 600 is more important. This is true. Is that a NASCAR on dirt? I like the pink. Oh, Cuddle must be Spike. You have been on fire that last couple of weeks telling the truth. Keep up the good work. All right. Hard to sell a ticket to a lot of the dumps out there. There is some questionable facilities. They need work. But the respect factor, the income that the societal awareness can bring to this sport and to theirs is what's going to make the money to where people can enjoy and build and grow the sport. Some of you fuckers here on this chat, send Chaz $1. Well, there is links in the description to join the support. We got to go make some dollars. Actually, yes, we got to go out onto the road. Not going to be at Circle City tonight. Potentially tomorrow. We will see how it works out. Anyway, I can't afford to go to dirt track races yet. Soon after I start my YouTube and website. Yeah, well, it can work. You just got to be willing to push the limits, sleep in the car a lot, sleep on couches. You got to really put in all the work 24/7. You got to have skills in branding, marketing, video editing. You got to be able to talk on camera like I'm doing. You got to be able to be a producer, graphic designer, name it. If you have all these skills, business manager, all these things, if you have all these skills, marketer, I mean, heck, what else would you consider some of this? General chatting, what is that called? Consultants. I mean, you got to be pretty much 16 different job titles, and you might be able to pull off what I'm doing here. It is kind of hard. Obviously, I'm going to have to go work here in just a second and keep on going and going and going. But at the end of the day, that's just how it goes. At the end of the day, you just got to be able to put in work all the time and never quit. You can never quit. You got to keep on working 24/7. So maybe one day you can learn how to actually do all these skills, have all these skill sets, and then you can actually put this together and do this. But I mean, I was in the workforce for 15 years, developing all these skill sets, developing all the abilities that I have today, doing all the research, knowing all these things about corporate-based situations, to even be able to talk about them, dissect them, produce these shows, go and do everything that I do. So you still have to work in the normal slave yard of the general economy. But once you develop enough skills over time and learn enough, then you can try to make it happen all on your own. But you got to take risks, and sometimes risks are hard, and it's almost impossible for a lot of people to do it. It's almost impossible, especially in today's society. I'm lucky enough to be able to just say what I think on camera. Most people are afraid to even do that. So regardless, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully the Cuddle guy has all these developed skills one day, which I'm pretty sure Cuddle is Spike Fast Racing. This is why he's a problem in society. But regardless, thanks for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video around. Membership button is below. Leave a comment. Of course, sharing it around is the more important thing, I would say. If you can't monetarily support, obviously that's number one on the priority list right now. We're skipping the race tonight to go make some more cash dough money to keep the train rolling down the road. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. Once again, subscribe. And hopefully you enjoyed the talk. I'm interested to see these comments and reactions. I know I already got a couple missed calls from Jeremy Elliott. This will be an interesting phone call. And we'll follow up. We'll follow up with y'all very soon. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. We will be live here, I believe, tomorrow, but we will be at the Anderson Speedway for qualifying tomorrow afternoon at 1:30 p.m. So if y'all are going to be out there, come say hi to the Chaz or slap them in the face like some of these people want to. Anyways, thanks, guys. Catch you later.
this long.